Where are you going today?
I'm going to Children's Mercy Hospital to see my dentist.
Gypsy and her multiple illnesses and diseases, leukemia, muscular dystrophy. She had learning disabilities, had not been able to be out of a wheelchair since she was 5 years old. And so the community really embraced them.
For most of the world, the story of Gypsy Rose Blanchard began as a heartbreaking tale of a sick child and a devoted mother. On the surface, it looked like a life defined by medical tragedy, constant hospital visits, and a girl who could barely live without assistance. But behind that carefully maintained image was a reality far more disturbing, built on years of deception, control, and psychological abuse carried out by her mother, Claudine Dee Dee Blanchard. Dee Dee suffered from a severe mental condition known as Munchausen syndrome by proxy, a disorder in which a caregiver deliberately exaggerates, fabricates, or even induces illness in someone under their care to gain attention, sympathy, or recognition. From the time Gypsy was very young, her mother subjected her to a long list of unnecessary medical treatments, medications, and procedures based on conditions that were never real. Gypsy was told she suffered from illnesses such as leukemia, muscular dystrophy, epilepsy, and various other serious disorders, despite actually being physically healthy. Her entire childhood was shaped by isolation and control. Dee Dee kept her away from friends, limited her contact with family, and carefully controlled every aspect of her life. Gypsy grew up believing she was extremely sick and dependent on her mother for survival. She was not allowed to question her condition or explore the truth about her health. Instead, she lived inside a tightly controlled environment where Dee Dee presented herself to the outside world as a loving and self-sacrificing mother caring for a critically ill daughter. As the years passed, the manipulation deepened. Even as Gypsy grew into a young adult, she was still treated like a much younger child and kept under constant supervision. Her independence was completely restricted, and her understanding of reality had been shaped almost entirely by her mother's lies. Any attempt to question her situation was dismissed or controlled, reinforcing her dependence and confusion. Eventually, however, Gypsy began to experience small cracks in the world she had been forced to accept. When she gained access to the internet, she was exposed to ideas, people, and lifestyles she had never encountered before. Through online communication, she met a man named Nicholas Godejohn on a Christian dating site. Their relationship developed quickly, built on emotional connection and Gypsy's growing desire to escape her mother's control. Over time, their conversations shifted from emotional support to darker discussions about how Gypsy might gain freedom. According to later accounts, the idea of killing Dee Dee began to emerge as a solution to years of abuse and confinement. Gypsy, who had lived her entire life under manipulation and fear, began to see this extreme plan as the only possible way to escape the life imposed on her. In June 2015, Nicholas Godejohn traveled from Wisconsin to Missouri to meet Gypsy in person and carry out their plan. On the night of June 14th, after Gypsy confirmed that her mother was asleep, she waited while Godejohn entered the house. He then fatally stabbed Dee Dee inside the home, while Gypsy stayed in the bathroom during the attack. The act marked the end of Dee Dee's control, but it also set off a chain of events that would change both of their lives forever. Shortly after the murder, Gypsy made a disturbing post on her mother's Facebook account, stating that Dee Dee was dead. The message immediately alarmed friends and relatives, who already sensed that something was wrong in the household. Unable to reach Dee Dee, they contacted authorities and requested a welfare check. When police arrived, they discovered Dee Dee's body and quickly launched an investigation. As they examined digital records, online messages, and communication patterns, they soon identified Gypsy and Nicholas Godejohn as the primary suspects. Both were arrested not long after, bringing the shocking case into public view. The investigation that followed revealed the hidden reality of Gypsy's life. Authorities uncovered years of medical abuse, fabricated illnesses, and unnecessary procedures imposed on her by her mother. The truth shocked the public and shifted the perception of the case, transforming it from a simple murder investigation into a complex story of long-term psychological abuse. It became clear that Dee Dee's behavior aligned with Munchausen syndrome by proxy, where a caregiver intentionally harms or lies about a dependent person's health to gain sympathy and attention. This revelation complicated how many viewed the crime, as Gypsy was now seen not only as a participant in the murder, but also as a long-term victim of severe and sustained abuse.
What I want to ask you is, your mom's passed away, okay, and she's deceased, all right? Now, what I want to ask you, did you have involvement in this?
She's like, no, oh my gosh, was it a heart attack? Did she commit suicide?
Please tell me she did not commit suicide. She had bipolar.
Okay.
All these different things, and she just kind of sticks to this story of I didn't know, I didn't know, I didn't know.
I didn't love my mom.
I know you do. I know you, sweetheart, I know you love your mom. I have no doubt that you love your mom.
During legal proceedings, Gypsy ultimately admitted her involvement in the plan and accepted a plea deal. Originally charged with first-degree murder, she pleaded guilty to second-degree murder and was sentenced to 10 years in prison in 2016. Her defense centered on the argument that she had been psychologically manipulated for her entire life and felt trapped in a situation she believed she could not escape any other way. In her statements, Gypsy described years of being controlled, isolated, and convinced that she was seriously ill. She expressed remorse for the outcome, but also explained that she felt she had no real freedom or ability to change her circumstances without extreme action. Her case sparked widespread debate about the nature of abuse, coercion, and whether someone shaped by lifelong manipulation can be fully responsible for such actions. Public opinion remained deeply divided.
2015, in June of 2015.
Springfield, Missouri.
Do you remember the address?
I don't remember now. I'm sorry.
How long had you lived at that address in Springfield?
About 7 years.
And prior to that, where did you live?
Slidell, Louisiana.
And when did you move to Missouri?
In 2005.
And who did you move to Missouri with?
My mother.
Some people viewed her as a victim pushed to an unimaginable breaking point, while others saw the murder as a deliberate and premeditated act. The case became widely discussed because it blurred the line between victimhood and criminal responsibility in a deeply unsettling way. Nicholas Godejohn also stood trial in 2018, where his role in the killing was closely examined. Gypsy testified about their relationship and the events that led to Dee Dee's death. He was ultimately convicted and sentenced to life in prison without the possibility of parole, solidifying his role in the crime. The story gained even more attention through documentaries and dramatizations, which explored the psychological impact of Munchausen syndrome by proxy and the long-term consequences of abuse. These portrayals brought renewed focus to Gypsy's upbringing and the extreme control she endured throughout her childhood and early adulthood. After serving more than 6 years of her sentence, Gypsy was released in 2023 and began reconnecting with her biological family and adjusting to life outside prison.
I had a moment that I was holding her and I was feeding her, and she was so peaceful in my arms, and I just looked down at her and I started crying. I had the realization that I was once that little. I was once a little innocent baby, and all these emotions surfaced. And I understood even more, how could a mother ever harm their child? And suddenly I was asking more questions than I had answers to.
Very glands.
Is there anything specifically that you want your daughter to know about your mom?
I want her to know that my mom wasn't a villain. The bigger conversation is about mental illness. And I think that if I can explain to my daughter that, her grandma was not evil, not a monster, but she was very sick. And I think by putting it that way, I take control over the narrative.
Her story continues to be analyzed and debated, serving as a powerful and troubling example of how prolonged manipulation and abuse can shape a person's reality and lead to devastating outcomes.